Hello, welcome to Rathod's IAS classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to see the next part of the Parliament. We are continuing this Parliament chapter. In this lecture, we are going to see about one important topic. This is very important both regarding the prelims and as well as mains. So today we are going to discuss this money bills. Before getting into this topic, let us see some of the introduction regarding this money bill. In the last lecture, we already studied about the ordinary bill and the passage of the every bill. What are the steps that are involved in the passage of this every bill? So if you see this money bill, there are some important things that you should remember regarding this money bill, and that is important regarding the prelims point of view. So if you see which article talks about the money bill, here the article is Article 110 of Indian Constitution, mainly talks about the definition of money bill, and it gives some provisions which are talked under this money bill. And if you see any bill to become an act, it have to pass some steps. First, it should be introduced in the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha, and it will go to the second house. And after the bill which is passed in the second house, and it will go to the president for the assent. So after the president giving the assent to that bill, then only that bill will becomes an act. We already discussed about this process. So let us see regarding this money bill. So this money bill will be introduced only in Lok Sabha, not in the Rajya Sabha. This is the first important thing. It is only introduced in the Lok Sabha, not in the Rajya Sabha. And this money bill which is introduced in this Lok Sabha, it is called as a government bill. Why government bill? This money bill will be introduced only by the minister but not the private member. So because of this, the money bill is called as a government bill. Okay. And the one another important thing, that is whenever there is any bill, that is the money bill which to be introduced in the Lok Sabha, there should be the prior recommendation, okay, the prior permission of the president is necessary. So what is necessary? Prior permission of president. And one important thing in the Lok Sabha is who will decide whether the bill is a money bill or not. So the Speaker of the Lok Sabha. Speaker of the Lok Sabha will decide whether the bill which is introduced in the house, it is a money bill or not. And this decision of the Speaker will be final and cannot be questioned in any court of law even by the President. So these are some important facts that you should remember regarding this Lok Sabha. So whenever this bill which is passed in the Lok Sabha, it will move to the second house, that is Rajya Sabha. So whenever bill which is passed by the Lok Sabha and which entered into this Lok Sabha have only two options. The first one is it should accept the bill, and the next one is if it is not accepting, it make some recommendations. So it will send the bill back to the first house by giving some recommendations, but it cannot reject the bill. So here the Rajya Sabha do not have the equal powers with the Lok Sabha regarding this money bill. So it cannot reject the bill. Okay, it have only two choices. First one is it can accept the bill. Second one is it can send back the bill to the Lok Sabha with some recommendations. And after this Lok Sabha passing this bill, it will move to the president. So whenever the bill which comes to the president, he have only two choices. First one is he can give the assent to the bill, and that bill will becomes an act. And the next important one is he can withhold the assent. So the second choice is he can withhold the assent, but he cannot reject this bill, because this bill will be introduced in the house, already the prior permission is taken. So only two options which are present with the president, that is he have to give the assent or he can withhold the bill. So these are some important prelims fact that you should remember regarding this money bill. So let us see what is written in the Laxmikanth. So as I said, whenever we are talking about the money bill, Article 110 come into picture. If you see this Article 110, this article present in the Indian Constitution that deals with the definition of the money bill. If you see this Article 110, it says that bill is deemed to be a money bill if it contains only is a thing that you should remember, only provisions dealing with all or any of the following. That means it can deal with these 7 provisions or either one of the 7 provisions, then that bill is to be considered as a money bill. So let us see those provisions one by one. The first one is regarding the imposition or abolition or remission, alteration or regulation of any tax. So anything which is regarding this tax, that comes under this money bill. And the next one is the regulation of the following money by the union government. So whenever the union government is dealing with the borrowing of the money, that will comes under this money bill. And the next one is the custody of the Consolidated Fund of India, or we can also say there is another fund, that is the Contingency Fund of India, or any payments of the money into the withdrawal of the money from any such fund. So that will also comes under this money bill. And the next one is the appropriation of the money. We already studied in the Lok Sabha that there will be no single penny that is taken out from the Consolidated Fund of India without this appropriation bill. So that means without this appropriation, that is, this appropriation means simply taking out the money from the Consolidated Fund of India. We are going to talk about this appropriation in much detail in the budget. That will be in the coming up lectures. Don't worry about that. And the next one is the declaration of any expenditure that is charged from the Consolidated Fund of India or increasing the amount of any such expenditure. So when we are talking about the expenditure that is charged, that means a charged expenditure from the Consolidated Fund of India, mainly for the increasing the amount of such expenditure. Whenever that expenditure is increasing, we are withdrawing that expenditure or that money mainly from this Consolidated Fund of India, that will comes under this money bill. And the next provision here is the receipt of the money on the account of the Consolidated Fund of India or the public accounts of India, or the custody or the issue of such a money, or the audit of the accounts of the union or the states. So then also it comes under this money bill. So these are the some provisions. So if you see the last one, it says any incidental to any of these matters that is specified above. So if any of these matters which are specified above, that bill is dealing with these provisions, then that bill deemed to be a money bill. So if you see, when there is a question arises whether that bill is a money bill or not, who will take the decision? The decision is taken by the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, and that decision is final. That means his decision cannot be questioned in any court of law or in any either house of the parliament. That means either in the Lok Sabha or in the Rajya Sabha, or even the president do not have the power to question whether this is the money bill or not, cannot question the speaker's decision. This is one important thing. So the power of the speaker is very high regarding this money bill. Okay. And the next one is when a bill is transmitted to the Rajya Sabha, that is a second house, mainly for the recommendation and presented to the president for the assent, then the speaker endorses it as a money bill. So whenever this bill which is transmitted to the second house and also sent to the president for the assent, so in this case also speaker plays an important role. Here in this case as well, speaker will endorse it as a money bill. Why? So what is the reason? Because if you see, whenever we are sending the money bill to the Rajya Sabha, it have the less powers that compared to that of the Lok Sabha. So whenever we are not presenting this bill as a money bill in the Rajya Sabha, so if at all we say it is as an ordinary bill, the powers of the Rajya Sabha is equal with the Lok Sabha. So even in the case of the ordinary bill, the bill can be rejected by the Rajya Sabha and they may be the situation of the deadlock. But in the case of money bill, there is no situation of the deadlock and there is no situation of the rejection by the Rajya Sabha. And if at all for the president also, the president do not have the power to reject that bill because the prior permission will be taken from the president. So in that case, president has only two choices, whether to give the assent or to withhold the assent. Okay. So if you see in our constitution, it lays a special procedure mainly for the passing of these money bills in the parliament. And if you see what are those important provisions and whatever we are going to discuss now, it is very important for the prelims, especially for the beginners. Please focus on this part. So if you see this money bill, it can be only introduced in the Lok Sabha, that too on the recommendation of the president. If you see the ordinary bill, it can be introduced in the either Lok Sabha or either Rajya Sabha. But this money bill only in the Lok Sabha. And in the case of the ordinary bill, there is no need of the recommendation of the president. That is, no need of the prior permission of the president. But in the case of the money bill, it is very much necessary. And that bill, that is a money bill, it is considered as a government bill and can be introduced only by a minister. So when we studied about the types of bills, there are two types. First one is the government bill and second one is a private member bill. Is it clear? So this government bill will be introduced by a minister and this private bill or the private member bill will be introduced by the private member. That means he will be the MP, that is a member of parliament, but not the minister. Correct? But these money bills can be only the government bills. That means they should be introduced only by the minister. So there will be no private member bills regarding this money bill. Okay. So after the money bill which is passed in the Lok Sabha, after first reading, second reading and the third reading and later on the voting, then it will be transmitted to the second house, that is the Rajya Sabha in this case. And the Rajya Sabha has only the restricted powers in the case of this money bill. So if you see the power of the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha regarding this ordinary bill, we have the equal power. Regarding this money bill, Lok Sabha has more powers compared to that of the Rajya Sabha. So let us see those. So if you see, whenever the bill which is transmitted to the second house after passing in the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha cannot reject the bill or cannot amend the bill, but it can only make some recommendations and it must return the bill to the Lok Sabha within 14 days. What happens if at all this Rajya Sabha is not return back this bill to Lok Sabha within 14 days? If at all this Rajya Sabha did not transmit it or return back this bill within the 14 days, then the bill is deemed to be passed in the Rajya Sabha as well. Okay. And if you see, the Lok Sabha can either accept the recommendations or even can reject the recommendations which are given by the Rajya Sabha. So in this way, Lok Sabha has the more powers regarding this money bill than compared to that of this Rajya Sabha. And if this Rajya Sabha accepts the recommendations which are given by this Rajya Sabha, then the bill is deemed to have passed by both the houses with a modification, that is with a modified form. And if there is also another condition, yet the Lok Sabha may not accept, that is does not accept the recommendations which are given by the Rajya Sabha, then the bill is deemed to have passed in both the houses in the form of originally passed by the Lok Sabha without any change. That means if Lok Sabha is accepting the recommendations, then in that case we can say the bill is deemed to be passed with a modified form. So if those recommendations are not accepted by this Lok Sabha, then again we can say the bill is deemed to pass in both the houses in the form of original. That means there are no additional modifications are done. Okay. So if Rajya Sabha does not return the bill to the Lok Sabha within 14 days, then what will happen? Nothing will happen. Then the bill, it is deemed to have been passed by the both the houses in the form of originally passed by the Lok Sabha. So in this case also, if at all the bill which is not returned by the Rajya Sabha to the Lok Sabha within 14 days, then after 14 days we can say that the bill which is deemed to be passed by the both the houses, by the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, in a original form without any amendments or any modifications. So thus we can say Lok Sabha have the more powers than compared to that of this Rajya Sabha, mainly with regard to this money bill. If you see regarding this ordinary bill, Lok Sabha have the equal powers with the Rajya Sabha. Okay, we already discussed about what are the differences between this ordinary bill and the money bill. And if you see, and after this bill which is passed in the Rajya Sabha as well, that means first house also passed, it transmitted the bill to second house, and the second house also passed. Then the final step here is a president's assent. So again the president, this bill will be presented before the president, mainly for the assent. So whenever the bill comes before this president, he have only two choices. The first one is he can give this assent, then the bill becomes an act. So congratulations, then your bill becomes an act whenever the president gives his assent. And in the second case, he can withhold his assent, but there is no chance to the president mainly to return the bill. Okay, so in the case of money bill, president do not have any chance to return the bill. He cannot return the bill for the consideration of the houses. So normally when there is any money bill which comes before this president, he will give his assent, because this bill will be introduced in the Lok Sabha before this prior permission. Before placing this money bill in the house itself, there will be the prior permission that is taken from the president. So because of this reason, president do not have any right to return back the bill for the reconsideration to the house. So this is about money bill. So we discussed all the important aspects in all the dimensions regarding this money bill. We already discussed about Article 110 and also who will the deciding authority of this money bill, and what is the process in the Lok Sabha, process in the Rajya Sabha, and process before the president, and what are the choices present before this Rajya Sabha and also the president. So I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Thank you so much. Please subscribe to my channel. Please do like, share and comment my videos. Thank you.